Hey everyone, welcome back. Happy New Year 2025. I know that I have not been on in a very long time. And so if you forgot or if you're new here, my name is Rachel Gonzalez. I am a recovering perfectionist just trying to become more like Jesus and live in God's perfect will for my life. I took a very long break from making videos because a lot has been going on, and if you saw my post on Christmas Day, I am pregnant. So, historically, as many of you know, my pregnancies are very difficult. They're, just very hard. And luckily, this pregnancy has actually been my easiest so far and a little bit better, but the sickness was still there. Like I was nauseous every single day. I haven't thrown up as much really, but still very nauseous, very tired. Can't, couldn't really do a whole lot. So videos definitely took the back burner. One of the things that I want to do in 2025 is just hop on more regularly without a lot of time necessarily, because of how busy I am. There's just never time to sit down and like create a video and get it all posted and everything. So my goal is just to kind of come on, make a 10-15 minute video when I have the time and then get it posted when I have the time and just be okay with not being able to complete the full task the whole time, like in one sitting, because otherwise I haven't been keeping up with it, and it is something that I actually really enjoy doing. So I'm hoping to be better about that this year and be able to share more. So just kind of wanted to recap 2024 because we're moving into a new year. And last year, as always, all of my years are just busy and crazy. So to start off, last January, I went back to work after a 3-month maternity leave. That was my longest maternity leave that I took, and um, finished, my school year as an assistant principal. Um, we also bought a home. We bought this new house that we're living in now, and didn't move into it for many months afterwards, but we bought it at a very good price. And so bought the house. I turned 33 in February, and then kind of muddled through the end of the year with star testing and telepass testing and just all of the things that I had to do with my responsibilities as an assistant principal. In June, I quit my job and we finally moved into our new home. We put our old house for sale, which was really sad. It was a really hard move because we loved that house. And so we put that for sale. It didn't end up selling. So we ended up finding some renters. And so we have some renters in there right now, and their lease will be up in June. We will try to sell the house again. And I am praying so hard that it does sell because that would be a huge financial relief for us. Um, Also in April of this year, we got our foster care license and started getting phone calls for fostering. I did a video on kind of what that looked like from April to July. In June, like June, end of June, early July, we took a trip to Chicago to visit my family and my friends there. Did a 3-week vacation where we drove up, and then Jose came back and worked for a little bit, came back up and met us, and then we drove back. And actually, his parents joined us in Chicago this time, which was really cool, and they really loved it. So they got to experience, the beauty of Chicago. They got to see where I grew up and everything. And then we went to the Car Mom Auto Show, which was really awesome. I got to meet Kelly the Car Mom and her sister Liz, which are two of my favorite podcasters, my favorite like social media influencers. So that was really fun. And then the week that we got back, we got our foster daughter. So we have been fostering her now a little over 5 months. We're still kind of waiting to see what happens with her. There's, but I mean, it's just a slow process. It's the government, and so just a lot of like documentation stuff and things that they're waiting on. So we're kind of waiting to see what happens with her, but just been working on that. And then in August, we started homeschooling, and Homeschooling was really hard at first. It's not the school part, and I think I might have talked about this before, but it's not the schooling that is difficult. It is the downtime. So we really only do about an hour to an hour and a half of school every day. And then we have the rest of the day that we have to fill up with things to do. And not that I want to just keep us busy, but I want, the kids doing things that are meaningful and important and stuff. So we've really been working on like making connections with other people. We do a lot of play dates where we're like at parks and stuff where they're being able to explore. We go to like the state parks where they're able to explore the nature and stuff, while also connecting and building relationships with people around them. So it's been nice, but the beginning was really hard because they just were not used to it. They weren't used to being home all the time. I wasn't used to being home all the time. I am a very work oriented person. And so for me, obviously there was a little bit of that identity crisis of like, who am I without a job? You know, yeah, I'm a stay at home mom, but I have like little to show for that. So, um, just a lot. And for me too, one of my love languages in more recent years, this hasn't always been the case, but in more recent years, since being married and having children, words of affirmation is one of my top love languages. And at work, I would get a lot of affirmations, like, hey, you're doing a really good job. Oh, we really think that that was really awesome what you did. I mean, just stuff like that where I was getting affirmed in what I was doing. People like enjoyed or, you know, appreciated that. And as a stay-at-home mom, there's no one to see the work that I'm doing, to know the effort that I'm putting in, to affirm what I'm doing. And my husband, I think he values it in some ways, but I think also because him and I, when we got married, never thought of me being a stay-at-home mom. Like we always both truly thought that we would be both working parents for the entirety of our kids' lives and of our lives. Um, I think that it's hard to see the value in staying home, and not just for him, but for me too, because it's just hard. It's hard to be home. So anyway, I don't get a lot of credit. And of course, my kids don't really hardly thank me for anything because I could literally plan the best day from start to finish. And if I don't cut the grilled cheese the right way, I'm the worst mom in the world. So, there's not a whole lot of affirmation from them either. I did have my son yesterday say for lunch, he goes, "This looks delicious." And I like kind of teared up a little bit. I was like, "Thanks." It was macaroni and cheese and hot dogs. So I was like, that was minimal effort. And he said it looked delicious. And he never says that. So it kind of made me emotional. And those are the wins that I'm taking right now. So you can see how low my threshold is. Um, so yeah, so we started homeschooling and then we were kind of starting to get into a groove with that. And then in October, I got pregnant and it was not an expected pregnancy. It was, you know, just not what we were planning for. And I'm very happy about it because I definitely wanted a fourth child. I just wasn't prepared to be pregnant and fostering a child, and homeschooling all at the same time. So, I always imagined that like once our foster child left our home, then we would start like trying to get pregnant. It might take a while and then we would get pregnant, something kind of like that. But it didn't happen. So, like I said, I'm very happy about it. I think, God's timing is always perfect. And I think that this is most definitely a perfect time. I will say, I do believe that this will be our last baby that we have biologically. Um, I just don't know if I can do it again. Being home and being sick and being tired. I mean, I feel guilty a lot because my kids had to deal with me being tired and cranky. They had to deal with, the fact that I need to pretty much take a nap every single day to get through the day. Um, and it's just a lot of downtime for them because while we still leave the house every single day at our normal time, like we leave around 10 a.m., in the afternoon, sometimes we were still like going and doing things with people or, I could take them to the park and stuff. But there wasn't as much of that happening in the afternoons, and that's kind of when they're the most squirrely. We got a bounce house for my daughter's first birthday party, and that has been very helpful, but sometimes they don't want to jump on the bounce house. They would rather jump on my couch. So that's very frustrating and has led to some just frustration on my end and being overwhelmed and overstimulated, honestly. So that's been tough, but it just is what it is. It's a season. I don't think that they are lacking anything truly, but it doesn't take away the guilt that I feel sometimes when I'm like, oh, I could have done more, I should have done more. Um, so, there's always, I feel like, going to be a little bit of that guilt. I have been doing better about letting it go and being like, this is what this baby needs. This is what my body needs, and being a little bit more gracious on that. But it's still, it's still hard not to feel guilty sometimes and think that, like, my kids deserve more, or they might be getting more at public school or whatever. So, um, that's pretty much been the last part of the year. We did close on a beach house. We have it listed for rent, short-term rentals on Airbnb, VRBO, and on our rental company's like website. So I'm actually going to list those in like the notes for this video, so that way if anybody's interested, or like if you would be so willing to share those links, it would be really, really helpful, because we're trying to use that property as kind of like an income to supplement what I'm not making. And so far, we haven't had any bookings this month. We have a couple coming up like in May, but nothing right now. So if you could share that, that would be awesome. It'd be very helpful. We are praying that that will be, a more lucrative uh, business come the peak season. So right now it's off season and people aren't really wanting to go to the beach. So it's also on Airbnb. I went on to see how much it was to book, and the fees are astronomical through Airbnb. So I think that I'm gonna more be sharing like the rental company's uh link, because the fees are significant. It's like for a 2 night stay, it was like $200 cheaper to book through their website than through Airbnb. So anyway, I think that that is probably the best way to go. And if you could share it, that'd be awesome. So, um, yeah, and then from October, November, we had Thanksgiving here. My parents weren't able to come this year, which they usually do, and that was kind of a bummer, but they're just taking care of themselves, and that's important too. And I also ended up sick on Thanksgiving, so I didn't actually even get to attend Thanksgiving at my own house. I stayed in my room. Um, and it was a bummer, but also I got to like sleep and not have to take care of anybody, and that kind of was nice too. So Christmas, we even though just the whole Christmas season, it was really nice, really slow. Um, we went and got our tree, so this is going to be the last day of our tree today. My goal is to get all of Christmas taken down and put away. Um, and we always cut down our own tree, and we didn't know if we were going to be able to do it this year. We ended up doing it, and I'm so glad we did, because it's one of my favorite things to do with the kids. We ended up watching pretty much every single night. We watched a Christmas movie together with the boys, and they loved that. And I thought it was really nice for us, because we just like kind of got to sit and chill, which I really needed. And then, um, Christmas we spent with my husband's family, and that was nice. We spent Christmas Day here just with our family, hanging out. We don't usually do presents, but we got a lot of presents from the foster care agency, which was really sweet. And there were a couple other agencies that had like Christmas parties and stuff and donations for foster children. So all of our kids were well taken care of, and we did not have to buy them anything, which was really nice. And so we spent the day here, and then we went and visited the grave of our stillborn son. So we went and saw him on Christmas afternoon and did dinner, and then that's been pretty much it. Like since then, we've been back in our normal routine. We're still doing school every day, almost every day. Um, Still, doing our outings. Like we're back in our routine. We're not really taking like a Christmas break or anything. So that's kind of what we've been up to this year. It summed up in this like 15 minutes doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it was a lot. Homeschooling, quitting my job, moving, getting pregnant again, having a foster child, like all of those things have been really big things in our household. Our kids are pretty much well adjusted by now. I think our middle son had the most trouble adjusting to everything. I mean, he just has a harder time. He doesn't get as much attention because our oldest one requires a lot of attention. And then obviously we have two babies, they require a lot of attention. And he's always been pretty independent. And now he is kind of regressed in that area just because he needs more. So we've been trying to be more intentional about giving him what he needs. But they're pretty much well adjusted by now. They love our foster daughter. They love their sister so much. Um, so that's a blessing. Um, the last thing that I really wanted to talk about on this video today was last year I had this Bible, and my husband had bought it for me for Christmas. And I wrote in the front like what all of my goals were for the year. And I did not hit hardly any of them. So uh, it says my New Year's resolution for 2024 was I will speak only kind words about my husband and my kids to others. I did not do that. I tried so hard at the beginning, like the first couple weeks, but um, being home with my children and their behavior at the very beginning, I mean, it was hard to say nice things because they were feral, feral children. They have gotten a lot better. I think that with our routines and our systems, things have been a lot better and they're more respectful and they're doing a lot better in that area. But they still have attitudes. They still hit each other all the time. I mean, they have their moments. So it was hard. But I think that I might try to do this again this year because I'm in a better place now. And I think that I really want to try to speak more love and life into them and about them. So it's just a goal. The next one says, I will pray first about my frustrations and address them calmly. I have done that in many situations, especially with my husband. I'm better about it with my husband because I don't spend as much time with him. So, like during the day when I'm frustrated about something, I can pray about it and then go to him that evening and we can have a like calmer conversation. But with my kids, it's very difficult because I'm with them all the time and I'm constantly having to correct them and I feel frustrated a lot. So, um, that one was a little bit harder with the kids. It is getting easier now. Like I said, their behavior is a lot better, but August and September were tough months. My 2024 goals were that we wanted to sell our house and we did not, which was a bummer. I wanted to make a group of Christian mom friends here in my neighborhood. I did make a group of Christian mom friends through Momco, which is really nice. I have some friends there, that are um, definitely Christian. They are people that we hang out with regularly. Also through our church, I've been hanging out with moms from the church, and then just like from our co-op as well. That's a Christian co-op. So a lot of people that I've been connecting with have been people that have a lot of the same values as us, and that is helpful for me in raising my kids because I know that the people that they are spending time with also have the same values, which is helpful. We began homeschooling, which was one of my goals, and we did do that. Another one of my goals was to become debt free. That didn't happen. Actually, we're more in debt now than we ever have been in our entire lives. And so I am definitely bringing that one back into the new year because we have to figure something out because with me not working and us trying to like maintain the same lifestyle we had, especially when we have this house, that house, the beach house, like we have a lot of things that we're trying to accomplish, but it requires money and money that we used to have and now don't. So I did put on here start and maintain a YouTube channel, posting one video per week. So I did start it. And that is definitely an accomplished goal, but I did not post a video per week. And I am not even going to attempt to do that this year because I know I won't be able to just with how busy we are and are going to be having another child. So I will post when I can. And then I put on here to buy a new cell phone, and we did get new phones this year. It was the most frustrating thing in the entire world because Jose also had to get a new phone, and he switched onto my family's phone plan from he was on a work plan before. Um, his company ended up like saying we're gonna disband our phone plan, but we're going to give you like an allowance for your phone bill. And so trying to switch from AT&T to Verizon Wireless was horrible. It was horrible. And so he ended up having to switch his number, which he's had for like 20 years. Um, I think I was more sad about it than he was. He said he was like, I don't really care. Um, he doesn't often stress about much, but I was upset because I'm like, well, now, like, what if people try to reach out to you and they don't have your number? And I don't know. It really irked me. AT&T was so awful, and I will never, ever, ever have an AT&T phone plan. I can tell you that. Um, and if you have AT&T, I'm really sorry, but they were the worst. They were the worst. So anyway, those are my 2024 goals. Some of them are moving into 2025. So I got my new Bible in my Bible case here, the one that I got for Mother's Day last year. My new Bible, She Reads Truth Bible. And I have my 2025 goals. And then I also have my word of the year. Last year I did a resolution, so this year I'm doing a word of the year again. So I've been noticing that on days that I use my phone less, I am less irritable and I'm less overwhelmed by just the state of the world. So I have put my screen time goal as under 3 hours per day, which still sounds like a lot. I think that's crazy that like it's hard for me to go under 3 hours a day, but with the amount of time that I use my phone, like, so when I work out in the morning, I work out for 30 minutes and I am on my phone, like, reading my Bible app. I am either reading a book or listening to a book. And so it's kind of hard for me to be under 3 hours, I think, with like that 30 minutes. And then also with just like the other things that I do throughout the day, which is like looking stuff up, especially like when we're doing school, I'll look stuff up. When we're just out and about, I'm looking stuff up, directions to places. So, I mean, I just think that it's really, I would be hard pressed to get under anything less than 3 hours. So I'm going to say that I want my screen time under 3 hours per day on average each week. So that's my goal. I also kept my goal of becoming debt free. I don't know that it will happen this year, but I think that we can always take steps towards it at least. One of the steps that we are taking toward it is we are trying to unload some properties that we have, just because real estate, when it's really good, it's really good. And when it's like really bad, it's really bad. And so we have probably, I don't know, like 12 properties with different aspects. Like we own some with his parents, we own some with a friend, we own some by ourselves. It's just we own a lot of things, and it's because when real estate was doing really well, we were able to get things and sell things and move things really quickly. And that is quick cash, which was really nice. But we have since spent all of that cash. And so we are trying to just simplify, which actually is my word of the year. My word of the year this year is to simplify. We want to get rid of all of these properties that we have and just simplify. Let my husband go to work, make his money at work. Um, my last goal that I wrote down was that I want to find a hobby I love that's like pretty cheap to do and that I can do with my lifestyle, but also that I can make money from. So like I don't like the only hobby that I have truly is reading. I love reading, but I don't foresee a way that I can really make money off of that. Something I would love to do and have thought about doing, is becoming a book editor, but I think that like, I don't know if you can be just like a freelance book editor from home. I'm not sure. I mean, I can look into that obviously. But I don't want to be like a big wig book editor at a publishing company. Like, I don't want to do anything like that. I would love to like read books and give feedback or edit or whatever. So if you know of anything like that, please let me know because I would love to do that. And that would be a great way to make money. I also have thought about writing a book, either children's books. I know someday in my life I would like to write a book, um, just about like my life and my testimony, because I do think that it's impactful. I just don't know that people would like read it, you know? Like, so I don't know if I really want to write a whole book and then have three people read it who are like my husband and my parents. So I don't know. I mean, I would love to write a book someday about my life, but then I also would like to write just books in general about, um, you know, children's books or about different topics. So maybe getting into that at some point. It is not going to be anytime soon because I do not have time to sit down and write things, but maybe someday. Another thing that I like, a hobby that I have or a passion that I have that I would love to turn into some kind of lucrative business is like childbirth. So I have a friend who does um, virtual childbirth classes, and I would love to do something like that. I just have to take the time to like get certified in that and then, build a business around it. So again, not happening this year when I'm having a baby and I'm going to be postpartum, and we don't really know what's going on with our foster daughter. So probably not having this year, but just some things that I'm tossing around for the future. But in terms of simplifying, my husband wants to be able to go to work and come home and that be his life basically, and not have all these side projects where he's like building houses and trying to sell them and all of that stuff. So we're trying to get rid of those things. I want to simplify tasks, which is like, just the things that I'm doing each day. Um, it is hard for me to accomplish many things because I take care of four small children, and also I'm trying to take care of myself. And, there's just the daily things that you have to do. You have to cook the food, clean it up. You have to keep things tidy around the house. So just in terms of tasks, I would like to simplify those. We'd like to simplify the things that we're doing on the outside of our day-to-day life. We would like to simplify our finances, so having less payments for things, and just really becoming debt-free, getting all of our debt paid off, and then kind of just keeping it that way and not continuing to add things. I would like to simplify the things inside of our home. So, one of the things that I am definitely going to be doing this year is getting rid of toys. One of the reasons that we never really did presents for our children at Christmas is because they do not need a single thing. Like, when they need something, let's say underwear, we buy it for them. Like, oh, you're running low on underwear. We've had to throw some pairs away. Okay, we're going to go get you new ones. Oh, these ones are becoming kind of snug. We're going to go get you some. So we don't go, oh, we're going to wait until Christmas to buy you whatever it is you need or want. Like, it's either, yes, you can have this, or no, you can't. And so we've never really, and because the things that come into our home, like, let's just say we go to Walmart and my son's like, oh, a Pokeball, I want that. The answer is no. It serves no purpose other than like it's a Pokeball and you like Pokemon. And you don't need it, right? So like the answer is no. Now, if we go to Walmart, which we've done, and he's like, "Oh, I really like this bike." Okay. This is, it's a good form of exercise. It gets you outside. Like, there's purpose for this item, and we find value in that. So yes, you may get that. We bought him a bike. He rides his bike in the cul-de-sac here in our new neighborhood. He likes to ride his bike. He rides his bike to the park. So it when they want something, it's not like we just give them whatever they want. We weigh the pros and cons and we buy it for them if it is beneficial. So we don't really make them wait for like birthdays or Christmas. So we don't purchase things for them on those days, but they still get stuff, right? They still get stuff from like their family members, and things like that. When for their birthday parties, like they get gifts from friends and everything. So like it's not like they're not getting gifts on those days. We just don't buy them. So because of that, the things that come into our home on those days, Christmas and birthdays and things, are oftentimes things that like they play with for a week and then they don't want anymore. So that's another thing that goes into like if my husband and I choose to buy something for them, is like a bike they use all the time. A Pokeball they play with and then it gets lost under the bed and they forget that it's there. So for those types of things that are not necessary in our day-to-day lives, we're going to start kind of decluttering those things. And it is kind of hard for me too, because I'm a little bit of a pack rat. I don't like to get rid of things. And so even like the McDonald's toys that they get and they play with and, whatever, a week later they forget about it. I keep those things because I'm like, well, maybe they'll discover it one day and then they'll play with it for a long time and they'll be excited about it again, So I kind of like keep things around for that. And it's like, again, it's just not necessary. It is not necessary for us to have random McDonald's toys in a box, which I have a full Rubbermaid tote. Not like the big ones, but the small, it's the Sterilite ones. They're smaller, but like I have a whole thing of just like McDonald's toys or like toys that they got from gift bags at birthday parties, like things like that. They do not need those things. So we're going to be getting rid of those. That was a very, very long-winded way to say that we're going to simplify our home by getting rid of things that we do not need or no longer serve our home. And the last thing is to simplify like cooking and food choices. This year we've really done that because previously we used to go out to eat all the time. We ate fast food. We were very busy. I was working, my husband was working, the kids were in sports. So that's another thing actually is that this season, I'm very sad to say that we are taking the season off of organized sports. And I know that there's many things like there are people who will say like organized sports are unnecessary, they don't need to be playing those things or whatever, but to me growing up as an athlete and my family literally revolving around sports, if you know me, that's true. Like that on Sunday we are doing nothing but watching football. Nothing. So um for me to let go of that and say, okay, they're going to take the season off, is tough. The kids don't know it yet, but it just like financially and logistically with our schedule and stuff, like it just is going to be nice to have a breather and not have practices and games and things. I did tell my husband that if they're not going to be playing sports that I do want them still like practicing. So we're going to, try to prioritize getting them outside and practicing both soccer and t-ball. So that way in the fall, like whichever one they choose to go back to, or even if it's not the fall, next spring or whatever, at least they are still in practice and then getting out on the weekends and doing things outside. So not taking it as like, oh, well, we don't have any like sports games. We don't have to go anywhere. No, like we're still going to go, you know, to the state park or whatever and get out of the house because they still do need that exercise and that outdoor time on the weekends, even though they get a lot of it during the week. I still think that just they need to be in that habit of being outside. So, um, because of that, in like this season of life, I've been able to cook a lot more. So I cook breakfast, lunch, and dinner for the kids, try to find simplified snacks, things that don't have a ton of added sugar, things that don't have dyes. I know that's also a controversial topic, but whatever. Um, so I've been trying to do that, but I miss going out to eat. I love going out to eat. That is one of my favorite things to do. And I love taking my kids out to eat because one thing is, you want them to know how to behave in a restaurant. I like them knowing how to act, but I also just like the food. I like not having to cook it. I like how good it tastes. I do not like the price of it, obviously, which is why we are not doing it, but I just miss that a lot. So I've been cooking a lot more. And so this year, what I'd like to do is try to figure out a way to just simplify cooking, make it more enjoyable, maybe. If anybody has tips and tricks on how to like cooking, that would be cool because I hate it. I hate doing it. Um, I dread dinner time, like mostly because when I'm cooking dinner, if my kids have not earned screen time for the day, like I have to find something to do with them, and that makes me want to pull my hair out. Um, and I have tried to have them help me cook. Yesterday, my son was trying to help me cook mac and cheese, and he spilled the cheese packet all over the counter and floor. And I had to salvage as much of it as I possibly could. But I mean, I wasn't using the floor cheese to put in the macaroni and cheese. So it's a little less cheesy than it should have been. Um, but it's just things like that where it's like, I wish I would have just done this myself. And it obviously takes longer when they help, which is fine in some cases. But in some cases, if I'm cooking something that is going to take an hour, we really need to get it done in an hour because dinner is at 5. And if dinner is not at 5, my 2 1-year olds are not happy. So, just trying to simplify that whole process, the meal planning and the shopping and the cooking and like what I'm putting in our food and stuff. So, there's a lot that goes with that. But anyway, these are all of my goals for this year. I would love to hear what your goals are, things that you're trying to do more or less of in the coming year. I will be working on simplifying, so simplifying everything I possibly can within my life and hopefully making more videos. So, hopefully, you will see more of me in 2025 than you did in 2024 because the last half of the year was pretty scarce, but um, I'm looking forward to it. I think, at the end of the day, uh, contentment is important. And I think this past year, even though it was really busy, I did find that I was more at peace than I've ever been in my life. If you know also that pregnancy is pretty scary for me just due to my history and what we've gone through, miscarriages and stillbirth and things like that. Um, but I've just been really trusting the Lord, like trusting the Lord with this baby, trusting the Lord with what's going to happen with our foster daughter, trusting the Lord with what's going to happen with all of the properties we have. I'm trusting that the Lord is going to see us through this season and we're going to be out the other side stronger for it. And I'm hopeful that, you know, we'll just keep learning and growing throughout the year. I do have a verse that I wanted to share because I like doing that at the end of my videos. So, this kind of goes with like simplifying, but also just with like um, being content with what you have and what God's given you. It says, Matthew 6:30, if that's how God clothes the grass of the field, which is here today and thrown into the furnace tomorrow, won't he do much more for you, you of little faith? So don't worry, saying, what will we eat, or what will we drink, or what will we wear? For the Gentiles eagerly seek all these things, and your heavenly Father knows that you need them. But seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things will be provided for you. So Jose and I are actively trying to seek first the kingdom of God, just trying to walk in his will, which is like genuinely the purpose of this channel and my life is just like try to walk in his will, try to pray about everything, pray without ceasing, and just be prepared for whatever it is that God provides. Sometimes it is exactly what we hoped for, and sometimes it's not. And when it's not, it's really tough, but we, you know, pick up the bootstraps and we move on. And so we're just hopeful for this year. And I hope that 2025 is really good to you and your family. If there's anything that I can possibly be praying for y'all, please let me know in the comments. And I will see you next time.